Hey everyone, Catherine here. Thanks for joining me at my home today. As you can see behind me, I have my mat rolled out ready to do some yoga, and I hope you are as well. If you have any medical conditions, make sure that you contact your doctor before you practice with us to make sure that you are safe. And please listen to your body and take the modifications if needed. So let's go ahead and go to our mats, and you can either stay seated or you can lay down. I prefer students to lay down, but it's completely up to you, whatever you're feeling comfortable with. And if you are seated, make sure that you are comfortable and you sit on something, whether it's folded blankets stacked, or if you have a bolster or a cushion like I have, a meditation cushion, you can use that as well. And just make sure that the pelvis is tipping forward, just so that you can find comfort in the pose. And shoulders are stacked over the ears. You can place the hands on the legs, and if you're laying down, you can bend your knees, allowing the knees to collapse into each other for support, especially if you have any tension in your low back. Otherwise, legs are straight if you'd like that as well. So closing your eyes, I'm going to take my glasses off, closing our eyes, and let's just take this time to do a brief centering, observing the breath as it moves in and out of your body without changing or altering the breath, simply observing. And begin to observe your body, observing if you're holding any tension anywhere within the body. If you are, think of releasing that tension, just letting it go. As you let go of the tension, observe that the body feels as though it becomes a bit heavier. And then bring your attention to your mind and checking in with the mind, observing how your mind is feeling today. Is the mind busy or is the mind calm? Observing the quality of your thoughts. And then bringing your attention back to your breath, placing your hands on your belly, and begin to inhale, nice, slow, long, and deep into the body. Allow the belly to gently expand into your hands. And exhaling, the belly descends slowly back towards your spine. Beginning your inhalation again, nice full breath. Exhaling, the belly descends back towards your spine. Again, inhale. And exhale. Let's do that a few more times. Feeling the expansiveness on your inhalation and the contraction on the exhalation. And then returning back to your normal breath. Observing the difference between controlling your breath as you just did and allowing the body to breathe in its natural rhythm. Just observing those subtle differences. And then if you're seated, go ahead and lay down on your back now. And all of us will now bring the knees up to the chest one at a time. Clasping your hands under the knees, taking a moment here. If you want, you can do little rocking movements or just hold steady. You can also move your feet. Knees can be open or together. Just giving a nice release in the low back spine. Really good to do when you first wake up. And then we'll exhale and bring our feet down. Adjust your back body so you're feeling space between your low back and the mat. Shrug the shoulders and let the shoulders relax. Step your feet apart. Bring your arms out to a T, a bit lower than the shoulders, and take a breath in here. And exhale, drop the knees over to the left. If the head wants to move in the opposite direction, let it move. Inhale the knees back up to center, and exhale the knees drop over to the right. Same thing, head can turn to the left. And then finding a pace that works for you. Just rocking those knees side to side. And the knees don't have to come all the way down to the ground. In fact, if you find that this is too intense, then you can place something underneath each knee that drops so that the knee is not coming down as low. So a yoga brick or books that are kind of thick, you can use those as well. Blanket. And then we'll go ahead and when the knees come over for the last time, rolling the rest of your body over as well and staying on your side for a few breaths. And this just helps to balance the blood pressure. I always say this, but repetition is how we remember. And then we'll engage the abdominals in and up into the rib cage to bring ourselves upright. So using those abdominals to bring us up and then coming to hands and knees. And let's go ahead and sit back into child's pose. So opening the knees wide and then just sitting back towards the heels. And you can elevate the hips too if you want to roll a blanket underneath your bottom, like sitting back on the blanket so you're not sitting back as deep. That's an option. And then bend your elbows a lot. Bring the forehead down onto the mat. Also, if you can't reach the mat with your forehead, then you can use something to bring the floor up to you, like a book or a yoga brick or even a pillow if you want to, as long as it's kind of firm. And just let the forehead rest here. Tailbone drops down and bring your awareness to your back body. And observing your breath as it moves in and out of the back body. Observe the rib cage expand and contract. Out and in with each breath. And you may notice a nice release in the low back and the hips. And the stomach's growing. And then from here, we'll inhale and come back up to hands and knees. Make sure the wrists are slightly forward of the shoulders. Fingers are spread nice and wide, knees under the hips. From here, we can inhale, lift the sit bones, spine, and head, and lessen this movement if we have any disc issues. Exhale and tuck the tail around the spine, letting the head go. Inhale, lift the sit bones, spine, and head. Exhale, tuck your tail around the spine, letting the head go. Nice stretch in the low back and the upper back, neck, shoulders. Inhale, sit bones lift, spine and head. Exhale, tuck your tail around the spine, letting the head go. Inhale, lift. And exhale, tuck. And the movement always comes from the pelvis first, and then spine and head follow. And then the next time that you tuck and round the spine towards the ceiling, sit back on the heels. pause for a moment and let your arms just outstretch in front of you now. So we're not going to bend the elbows. Elbows are going to be straight. And if you want, you can walk the fingers forward a bit. Tailbone drops down. And again, if this bothers your knees, make sure you elevate your hips. And then from here, we'll lift up off of the heels and then walk the hands forward a lot. And then just lower the chest towards the mat. Stop when you feel resistance. So this time we're lowering the chest down until we feel resistance in the shoulders, and then stop right when we feel that, because we want to avoid overworking the shoulder joints. Breathing. And then we'll inhale, lift through the shoulders and come back up and back to hands and knees. So walking the hands back towards the body a bit, still forward of our shoulders. And then take an inhalation here and exhale, tuck your tail under, round the spine towards the ceiling. Breathe in, exhale, and curl the toes under and lift the hips into downward facing dog. Notice any tension in the backs of your legs, which I always have. And since this is morning, I'm much tighter in the hamstrings than after I've been walking around a bit. So I'm going to step my feet a little wider on the mat. And this also relieves any tension in the back and the sitting bone area. And then begin to lengthen the side rib cage here. Some of you might want to move, and so alternating heels coming down is perfectly fine. And there's also a little engagement of the abdominal muscles towards the spine here. And this is just a great pose to do every day. If you don't have time for any yoga, just one pose a day would be, I would choose this one, down dog. It works upper body, lower body, abdominals. And then we'll step the feet together. Exhale, come down onto the knees and shift forward into our hands, into half plank, tucking the pelvis, or neutral. And neutral is just the natural curve of the spine. Lifting out of the shoulders. I like to tuck personally because I really feel the abdominals working here. And then for those who want, you can move into full plank. So lifting the kneecaps up and then pressing the heels back. Strong legs back behind you, lifting out of the shoulders. Gaze is forward on the floor. And then let's move back to down dog. So lifting the hips or coming down onto the knees and then coming back. If you're in full plank, you can also drop the knees down and then move to downward facing dog. Same thing, observing any tension in the back body, in the low back, in the seat, in the hamstrings. If we're feeling that tension, step the feet apart. Lengthening the side rib cage, belly button sews in. Good. Then back to half plank or full plank. So if you're in down dog, you can also just shift forward into full plank. You might have to adjust like me, pressing those heels back, tucking the pelvis or neutral. Dropping the knees down is also another option. Neutral or tucked pelvis here. This time we'll exhale and lower down. So we can either chaturanga down like this, which is a little bit more challenging. Some of you might be there. Otherwise, dropping the knees down behind the sit bones and then lowering down. And I would recommend doing that if you're new to yoga, or even if you've been doing it a little while, just to build up that upper body strength. And then bringing the forehead down, adjust yourself. And then if you find that when you lay on your belly that there's a lot of tension in your back, make sure that you fold a blanket lengthwise and let it come and just put it underneath your chest and pelvis. Okay. Taking a few breaths here. And then we'll sweep the hands so that the fingertips are pointing towards your feet. And then elevate your legs. And again, we can lessen this lift too if we have back issues. And also you can just stay here with legs lifting for back issues. If you don't, you can also come up and then lifting the arms, reaching back towards the feet. Some of you might feel more open in the shoulders, so you can also interlace the fingers behind you, drawing the knuckles toward your feet. And again, lessen this lift if we have back issues. Exhale and lower down. Relax for a moment. Turn your head to the side. A few breaths here. And then rotate your forehead back on the mat, hands on either side of the rib cage. Inhale, exhale, and press up. Back to hands and knees. Inhale again and exhale, tuck your tail under, round the spine, letting the head go. Breathe in. Exhale, curl the toes under, back, down dog. Adjust your feet as needed, and then elongate that side rib cage. Now we'll look up at the hands, take another breath in, exhale, carefully walk forward to forward fold. Now some of you might have more open hamstrings, so legs will be straight, hands on either side of the feet. Otherwise, bring the hands onto the legs until the legs get straight and you're not feeling strong pulling in your low back and in your seat. So you can come all the way up to here too. And for those who have spinal disc issues, come all the way up to standing, and just you can do a little micro bend forward. I'm gonna move my camera here. So we can do a little micro bend forward or further down, just depends on resistance of the body. And then we'll bend the knees, reach back behind, sink into the heels, and then inhale, sweep the hands up. And strong legs. So squeezing the glutes, the leg muscles as we reach up. And then exhale, hands down and around to your heart center. Taking a few breaths here. And now we'll place the hands on our hips and take an inhalation, and right foot will step back behind us. Press the quad muscle behind you to engage the right heel into the mat. Turn your left foot to the left slightly and bend your left knee. Hands on our hips at our heart, or reach the arms up into warrior one. Make sure that you feel steady in your feet. So if you need to step the feet closer together, you can do that as well. Lift the rib cage up, looking up. If you want to take it into the full pose, if your neck bothers you, just look forward. And then exhale, bring your hands to your hips, or bring the arms behind, interlace the fingers, and then begin to hinge out over your left bent leg. Turn your left foot forward. Keep pressing that quad muscle behind you. And then press into your left foot and straighten the left leg as much as you can. Avoid overexerting the hamstring. So just coming to a point of a nice stretch. And elongate through the top of your head. And then bend your left knee, come up. And then turn your left foot to the left slightly. Hands at our heart, or reach up. Again, hands can also come to your hips. You want to take the full pose, lift the rib cage up, looking up. And that frees the neck. And then exhale, we'll bring our hands back to our hips and step forward. Taking a few breaths here, let the arms rest by your side. So engage the muscles of the legs, the glutes, the abdominals. And then do the other side. So hands on our hips, left foot steps back. Pressing the quad muscle above your left knee behind you to engage the left heel. And turn the right foot slightly, little tiny bit to the right, bend the right knee. So when we turn the foot, it just helps to track the knee forward. Hands at our hips, at our heart, or reach up. Again, you can lift the rib cage up and look up or straight ahead. If shoulders are tight, you can also bend your elbows. That's fine. And then exhale, bring your hands to your hips or interlace the fingers behind you and hinge out over your right leg. Turn your right foot forward too. Forgot to say that. So hinging forward, and then press into your right foot and straighten the right leg as much as you can. Keep pressing the quad muscle above your left knee behind you. And this is my weak side, so the leg probably won't get as straight, and that's okay. I'm just going to where I can. That's all we can do. And then bending your right knee, turn your right foot to the right a tiny bit. Hands at our hips, at our heart, or reach up. Remember to lift the rib cage if you're looking up. And then exhale, bring your hands to your hips and shift into your right foot, left foot steps to the right foot. Hands at our heart. Take a few breaths here. Good. Now we'll come back down onto our mat. Let me check the time really quick. So we'll come back down onto our mat. And we'll come to a seated position. And from here, we'll grab behind the backs of our thighs and then lower down, or you can reach forward. If you want to work the abdominal muscles more, you can reach forward and then just start to come down. All the way down. And then arms are going to be by your side, or you can bring your hands into fists and lift your bottom and let your hiney, your low back and your hiney rest on your arms as well. That's another option here. So from here, we're just going to float the legs up towards the ceiling and press through the heels. Try to keep your shoulders relaxed as best as you can. If you need to put something under your head, that's fine too. Otherwise, just pressing up, and then we're just going to crisscross the feet as we're pressing up at the same time. Starting to work the lower abdominal muscles here. I inhale and open, exhale and crisscross. And I'm not going like this. I'm just doing little crisscrosses and pressing up through the heels at the same time. Building some abdominal strength. I hate working my abdominals, but I have to do it. And then press up, press, 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 press. Good, and then bend your knees and bring your feet down. Adjust your back body so you're feeling space between the low back and your mat. Shrug the shoulders and let the shoulders relax. And now we'll step the feet apart and arms out to a T and windshield wiper the legs. Inhaling up, exhaling, knees drop over. And you might notice that you feel a little bit more open now that you've moved. And then we'll come back up to center and bring the knees together. Arms can stay by your sides, or you can rest your hands on your belly, whatever feels good for you. Taking a few breaths here. Might hear a growl from my stomach. And I'm not hungry. It's just talking. So this is a nice release. Make sure that the knees are connected as well. If you find the knees are not wanting to connect, then step your feet closer together. And then separate the knees and bring the soles of your feet together. Let the knees drop open. And just letting everything release and soften. It might feel kind of intense at first, but eventually it starts to soften up. And you can also place something underneath each knee too, if you really need to. And then from here, we can bring the knees back up. And if you would prefer to hold those positions longer, that's fine. You can keep your knees bent, collapsed into each other for relaxation, or place a bolster under the knees, or even straight legs if that feels good to you. You can prop your head with a folded blanket beneath the head, and you can also put a blanket on you just so that you stay warm and comfortable. And I'm going to go ahead and roll over onto my side. Make sure when you come up you do this as well. Pause for a moment. And then engage your abdominals and come up. So you can lay in relaxation for as long as feels best for you, taking that time out for yourself. So important. I'm so appreciative that you practiced with me today. I hope this helped you to feel better. And if you did like the content that I provided today, please like, share, and subscribe. And I wish you the best day. Namaste.